everyone. Welcome to the new episode of 2030 Podcast, a show hosted by someone in their 20s
and someone in their 30s.
where we talk about life, relationships, purpose, and growth from the perspective of a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old.
Because what makes sense at 20 can look very different when you're 30. I'm Jane.
And I'm Sky. Today's topic, Gen Z versus Millennials at work.
Yes.
And how our generations are so different in terms of our careers and work. Stay tuned. This is 2030.
Alright, okay, Sky. So I've been noticing something lately at work, right? So people aren't working the same way anymore. I mean, the expectation feels different, the pace feels different, even what people tolerate, actually at work feels different, right? So since we're in the topic of Gen Z versus Millennial and the way we work, our hustle culture, is it softer or smarter, right? So question to you, what would be a typical mindset, work mindset look like for people in their 20s?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. I'll give you a bit of context. I think what I would understand more would be the early 20s,
Yep.
21 to 25, because I feel like 26 to 30 is quite different in terms of our mindset,
Yep.
especially regarding work and career. For me, in the early 20s, 21 to 25, the mindset that we usually have in a career, we still want to know whether what we are doing is actually the right thing for us. Maybe it's different, right? Millennials, you guys you've been doing that same shit for the past how many years? You know that's your talent, you're good there, you're happy there, and you just build up from there. But for Gen Zs, your early 20s, it's just the beginning of entering the workforce. So the mindset that we all actually adopt is we are still trying to make sure that the journey we are about to take is going to be the right journey for us. That's something that I personally feel as well. Sometimes I still think, am I in the right industry? Is it better if I go do insurance? Is it better if I go do property? Is it better if I, enter a different kind of industry? So for us, the mindset we want right now is we just want to know whether this is where we belong, this is where we should focus. Yeah, picking the path, still picking the right path. I think that's the mindsets that a lot of people are currently having here in as a Gen Z. And it's also the fact that, if something doesn't seem to work out, they don't seem so happy here, we are still young. We have that capacity to have a very soft pillow if we fall, right? For a lot of young early 20s, they are still under their parents or their family's jurisdiction. A lot of them, they still stay with their parents, they are still, so if all else fails, they still have a soft padding. They can steer around, they can have a bit different direction. So I think that's the mindset that us as 20s actually have right now. What about you in your 30s?
It's very different. I mean, so why I asked that question is because I've been working for quite some time now already, right?
Yeah.
So I had a couple of experiences where I had to deal with Gen Z's stuff, right? And some of it good, surprisingly, meeting people like you guys in Gen Z's are the good ones, and some not so pleasant and actually
Really?
quite surprising. So can I tell you a story?
Please.
Okay.
I want to know.
What prompted me to ask that question is because I had an intern back then, right?
Okay.
Where I gave her a task to do, and it's within her qualifications of her what she's studying,
Okay.
right? So I don't want to disclose too much. I don't want to name and shame in a way,
of
right?
course.
But essentially, how the narrative goes, where I gave her a task, and she emailed me back, and she actually said, "I would like to reject this task."
This task. Can like that one, man?
Exactly. So I was shocked. I was shocked because in my 20s, I would never ever dare to ever tell my boss or manager like I would want to reject this task, right? Even if I didn't know how to do it or I'm clueless, in your 20s you don't know what you're doing, right? You're still learning, right? But I would never ever thought to say I don't want to do this. Right? So for me, that was just definitely a whole new experience where I didn't know how to react, right? I'm like, I got rejected, right? And my execs as well were also surprised.
Shocked.
They were shocked, right? So which led me to the questions like, so that's why I wanted to know, what is actually the work mindset of younger generation. Maybe it may not apply to you, right? But from my personal experience, so that was one incident that really shocked me, in a sense where the 20s and the Gen Zs, they have the, I won't say audacity. I think they have that bravery.
That intern had the audacity.
That intern had the audacity, right? But this person, I mean, in the 20s, I think you're more daring. You're more daring to speak up and voice out in things that makes you don't feel uncomfortable or you don't want to do it. You're much more vocal.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's where it was a good experience or insightful experience for me, where the Gen Zs are very much more vocal in terms of what their boundaries are, what they want to do, what they don't want to do, versus in their 30s. So when you talk about what are our 30s mindset, we go by the playbook. Right, so there's a playbook. It's gonna graduate, score good, get good scoring in your exams, get a good job, and then progress up the career ladder, say yes to everything. So we had a checklist, and the typical mindset would be hustle till you drop.
Okay.
In a way, hustle till you drop. In a way, and if there is no way of saying no, so yeah, I think the mindset was just grinding and just making sure that every task gets checked off, doing to your best abilities, and I think we were less vocal back then. In our 20s, and then I think in your 30s, where you progress more into a higher leadership position, then of course the dynamic changes.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So
understand.
that's why I was really, really shocked in the sense where I've got rejected in terms of a task. So I was like, so Gen Zs, I mean, are they softer or actually are they smarter?
Okay, but I'm curious though. What task did you give her?
Okay, it was really very simple. So we had to, I just gave her a task to actually create some PNs, push notifications, to be pushed out. So there was actually already conversation topics and pillars. So we could talk about topic A, motivation, topic B would be about habits, topic 3 about etiquettes, right? So there was pillars of what the talking points are. And then, of course, push notification, you got character limits as well. So the framework was already set there, right? So her task was just to create, I think, a series of push notifications, based on the topic pillars.
Simple, what?
I got rejected. Because
what was
she
her
had,
position?
She was an intern, right?
Intern,
so
what's the job desk?
Marketing, right? Marketing, right? So it was really simple, but also she had to juggle her final thesis, final submission for her exam, right? But it wasn't my opinion, it wasn't anything that was too much, because in my 20s, where
you did worse.
I had worse. I had to pull out reports from my bosses, and I didn't sleep until 3 a.m. in the morning, and I worked really, really far to get up by 5 o'clock, like 2 hours of sleep, that kind of thing. So I went through that kind of experience in my workforce, and for a simple task and being rejected, there was something definitely an eye-opener for me in that sense.
Then did you no, you must do? Or did you just, okay, I'll get somebody else to do it?
I let it go because she got a little bit emotional in a way, a bit emotional when saying like the pressure was too much, she couldn't deal with it and whatnot. So then I had to rush it out as well. So back then got no ChatGPT. Right, so but we had to just have a very quick turnaround time and do it ourselves, because at the end of the day, it's like we survived without an intern, right? So so I had to let it go lah, but it was very, very shocking, and the audacity.
The audacity. Intern only also can do like that.
Intern got rejected, so that's why Gen Zs nowadays.
In my defense, not all Gen Zs are like that lah.
No, you're not like that lah.
Yeah, but even like a lot of the Gen Zs that I think I know, or are close to me, my closest friends, I don't think they're the type to do that as well. We are brave enough to say things if we feel like it's beyond our principle or beyond our belief. Let's say, for example, OT, overtime. I am someone who is quite my team. I rarely tell them to go overtime, but I do know some of my friends who are having internships and they're supposed to do 9 to 5, but they go 9 to 9, 9 to 10, and they're not getting paid. If you do overtime, at least you get paid, okay lah. But some of them, they don't. and they don't want to speak out. If it was me in their position, I would say something because
back then we don't dare.
Oh, you know that. if it's regarding OT, I feel like I will because there is a agreement that we already made, so we do that. But let's say in terms of like your case where it's a task, even though it's not under my job desk, if I know I can do it, and if I know that if I can learn how to do it, I would do it, right? Of course, this depends on context lah, definitely, right? OT, if let's say it's really something super important, we need to understand the context. But if it happens again and again and again every day, where the original agreement was not like that, then I think Gen Zs will be more vocal about certain things, and some things not really. But yeah, I do see that there are some Gen Zs that seem a bit spoiled.
Yes.
Seem quite spoiled. I think it's not just about their generation. It's also how they were brought up.
Agree. I agree.
Family, I think family upbringing is also very, it impacts their behavior in work. All right. There are some of my friends, they come from pretty privileged families. They come to work driving their BMW and all that, and they see their manager or their supervisor riding a Prodom IV beside them, and then they feel that pride and all of that. There is still hierarchy that you need to respect in a company, in an organization, regardless of your financial upbringing or your family, right? So, not all Gen Zs are like that, right? But there are some that are like that. So I do agree, I think. But like speaking of that, then what frustrates you in work the most as a 30-year-old?
A lot. A lot. I think naturally is it depending on situation, depending on context, right? So in the 20s and in the 30s, very different. So when I mentioned earlier that 30s we don't speak up, right? Again, I think it's because we are brought in that blueprint where we were brought up. So my time we were brought up to study, get a good job, and don't answer back, those kind of typical mindset. And I said back then when in my 20s, my hustle culture, I worked at 3 a.m. in the morning, like OT, and I was afraid to speak up because I was afraid to be looked at a certain way by my managers and my bosses, right? So then it's different. So what are we quietly frustrated about at work? If it's depending on individuals as well, right? So I find frustrating where if I have to deal with a person who's younger than me, but their mindset, I think their mindset is very, very important in a sense where if someone just have a very fixed mindset, they refuse to do a certain things because it's outside of their scope or beyond what they're used to do, but it's still within the limits of acceptable, I would say, right? But it helps you grow eventually. You grow somewhere, but someone just refuses to do something because like, oh, my job scope doesn't say this, right? You're like, but sometimes, so for me, it's like if you're limiting yourself to that certain grid, then are you limiting your growth then? Right? I come from a generation of where we really, really work hard, discipline, hard work, putting in all the effort, even if it's not within my JD. But for me personally, if I'm doing something that is completely out of scope, but at least personally, I am learning from it, I don't see why not. Right? And at the same time as well, I might be scoring brownie points with my bosses as well in a way that, okay, this person is willing to learn, this person is willing to program, but also at the same time, having that nice boundary that you're not a pushover. Right? So which means like what you say, OT and things like that. So does not mean I'm setting a precedent where I can do OT all the time without being compensated. So I think needs to be a limit. But for me, I think what would be the frustration for me is people with fixed mindset and they just very stubborn, refuse to budge from their from whatever their mindset of mind frame is.
They're not flexible.
They're not flexible in a way, right? So then it does not help the work environment, but instead it causes probably a bit more tension in a way where as a manager or as a leader, how am I going to help you grow if you're not willing to
be flexible,
to be flexible,
to be adaptable with it.
Correct.
I agree. For me, this is one thing that I learned and I think it relates to what we're talking about. Being someone who is in my Gen Zs, I feel one very important trait you need to have is you always need to do your best to stand out. how do you stand out if you don't want to push yourself to do things that you are not comfortable with? For me, I don't think you will have guessed this lah, but
Yeah.
I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert. But most people don't see that. They see me as a very extroverted person. I talk too much already. But I feel I'm an introvert that forces myself to be an extrovert a lot of times, because when you put me in a room with 4 other people, how do I stand out? How do I make sure that out of the 5 of us, the boss sees me,
Yep.
or the client sees me, or the person sees me? How do I make it so that I'm the one that stands out? That is a skill that I feel a lot of Gen Zs need to have. And a lot of them refuse to want to do, right? Because they don't want to take up that extra pain. I always keep telling myself, if the other people are doing level 1, you got to go level 3. If they are working 5 hours, you got to work 10 hours. That's the way for you to go up there. So like, if your job scope is only limited to this small area, how much more will you grow if you actually want to take in more? Right? If you want to step out of your scope and do what is needed and what is wanted, because I believe like this is my mindset lah. Where you are, you will grow as long as you keep giving value to people. The more value you give, the faster you'll grow.
Agree.
Right?
Agree.
And I feel perhaps not all Gen Zs see that. Not all of them have that kind of mindset. But to defend myself again, just now I tell you, let's say OT or things like that. I feel like I would only speak up if it is starting to trouble my long-term peace.
Agree.
If it troubles me for 1 day,
Yep.
2 days, 3 days, okay lah. Of course, it's fine,
Yep.
right? But if it starts to be something that I complain with, and I like just talk about, and it's like a very big emotional burden that I have.
It's a frustration. Yep.
And it's like I complain about it. I keep talking about it again and again and again and again. Then I feel at that point it's better to say something or to talk about something. For example, like in my current company right now, there is a specific problem which I feel I'm not happy about. I won't go into details, but there's something that is just happening in the company where I'm not happy about it. And I've been complaining about it month after month. It's been months, And I keep talking about it. And I know in my heart that I'm not happy. I don't like this. But I just try to understand, try to keep going. And it's reached to the point where I feel like it's been months. How come never change one? How come keep like this? And at that point, I decide, okay, let's talk about it. I should talk about it. Because I would rather, I don't want to feel that regret of living my life, and then a year later, I'm still in this position right now. Maybe, something like that. So I feel like we should still, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't stand our ground. Yeah, we need to speak out. But in moments where it just truly frustrates us and it's bringing you more harm than joy. But if it's just short-term, like let's say just 1 to 2 days of OT, just a new task that you are not used to that you got to do, you got to clean the toilet once in a while. Like I feel like it's something you just got to do. It's something that you got to push yourself to continue to do.
Not a lot of 20s would have that similar sentiment and mindset, though. I mean, it's amazing the way you think, in a sense where like I said, I dealt with a couple of 20 years before, and like what you say, cleaning toilets and all, right? That would be a big no. So that's interesting. So then my next question would be like, so what would actually make someone, like what you say, in terms of frustration in your work and things like that, right? So what would, in your generation right now, what would actually make someone want to stay in a company?
It's quite a lot, okay? I think there's a lot of factors. Number one, first one, most important one definitely is their income. If the company is able to promise or guarantee or guide them into going up the ladder, if I'm not mistaken, I have a few older Gen Z friends, 25, 26, who are working in big companies. And these big companies, they have what is called as a career ladder program. There's always the next step. Like wherever they are right now, there's always something to look forward to, something to chase. I feel that gives people the loyalty to a company because they see themselves growing rather than just feeling stagnant and being there the whole time. Because as Gen Zs, we like things instant. We want to go as fast as we can. We want to go up there as fast as we can. That's the first thing. Income and, of course, career progression, right? That's the first one. I think secondly as well, but this is, I think, more for me lah. your purpose law, whether it fulfills you or not law, your job and your work. Do you feel like you're bringing value in that state or not? I'll give you a story about like around a year ago. I had this client. So maybe to people who don't know, I run a creative agency called Da Vinci. We had a client previously. They were doing social media, so we helped them to actually do their social media. It was a clothing brand. Okay, we did quite well. We delivered very on time, even early. The quality of work we did was better than all the previous works we've ever done. Actually, it was something new. We set up a new standard to our work, and we did our best. However, after that campaign, after the first the first month, it was only 1 month we did it. Turns out that the work we didn't bring value to the client.
Okay.
In terms of profits.
Uh-huh.
The brand looked cool, the videos looked cool, the photos looked freaking cool, but turns out it didn't bring profit to the brand. And so it made me feel like, I feel like what I'm contributing here, what I'm doing, it's not giving value to people. Then you lose your sense of purpose.
Okay.
And it makes you just think, oh, maybe I should focus elsewhere. Maybe this is not where I should be. As humans, we want to feel important. Gen Zs as well.
Yep.
They want to feel important. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like they are valuable where they are. And yeah, and then I was very sad about it. I wanted to like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Close lah. Bro, you have no idea how many times I thought of closing my company. If you're an entrepreneur, you definitely know. But at that moment, I thought about those negative thoughts where I feel like I'm not contributing, I'm useless, I'm not delivering results and things like that. But after really thinking about it, it's not a me problem. Sometimes it's just circumstance.
It's not a you problem at all. From where I'm
problem.
looking, I will tell you later why.
Yeah, but it was because the company was selling T-shirts, like normal T-shirts, like the one Dave is wearing, right? Just normal T-shirts for 180 ringgit.
Yep.
180 ringgit for a T-shirt. And then he like they wanted to market it as a premium streetwear brand, but they couldn't. They want to sell Gucci pricing, LV pricing, but they don't have the heritage. I was thinking like, actually, it's not really my fault also lah. We did our best.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Like what I picked up on is marketing or branding is just one arm of a business point, right?
Yep.
So it could be a sales funnel problem. It could be, it could be a lot of things, right? It could be the whole buying journey as well. It's very different, right? So it's not per se one. Doesn't mean that your assets did not bring profit to the company, but it could be any other factors, like I said, customer journey, the product pricing, the availability, and things right now, right? So no, don't be too hard on yourself. Come on, man.
But yeah, speaking of loyalty, right? There's this advice that someone a little bit older than me actually gave. He's a 9 to 5. He works as an employee. The best way for you to quickly improve your income is by jumping companies.
Yes.
Do
Don't
you
make the same
agree
mistake.
or not?
Interesting.
As someone in your 30s, because you've went through it, you've experienced it. What was the longest period of you serving in a company?
So I agree with your statement because this is actually one of my biggest regrets.
Really?
I won't say regret, but I see it at a point where I did gain experiences and learning throughout of my career. Okay, so what was the longest time I've served? So I've served 11 years in the same company. But I've seen the company evolve into multiple stakeholders, right? So the company changed holding companies 3 times. So 11 years, so there's three different owners. And it transitioned from blue to red to different colors, right? And from a single brand that I worked in.
Multiple brands.
Yeah, so I worked in the fitness industry. So I worked originally from a fitness first, and then it combined to fitness first and celebrity fitness, and then it combined Fire Fit and Chi Fitness, and then Go Fit was birthed. So from one brand, it grew into 5 brands. So yeah, I think I agree with your point. So where I have a friend as well who were very, very different from me, right? And salary bracket now also very, very different because he was smart. I think he was strategic to a point that he changed jobs every 2 to 3 years. And I'm like, bro, change again. bro, new job again, right? But for me, for 11 years, so throughout the 11 years, I did have promotions. I changed roles. I did learn different points of every business. So I was in a fitness line, I was an instructor, I was a management trainee, I did sales, I did operation, and my latest was marketing. So I had different touch points in terms of the business, whole entire business portfolio. So I did learn from that. Salary-wise, yes, it did grow, but what was the cons of it, staying 11 years in the same company, same industry, was that when I wanted to venture out, because I think to a certain point you hit your limit, right? You want to know what's out there for you. You know, are you doing something that fulfills you in a sense, right? So the cons of it, if you stay too long in the same company, is that it's hard to get hired elsewhere, because recruiters would then see your resume as like you're someone stuck into the same company. You could be very niche already in a sense. So I was very niche, right? I was considered a subject matter expert, right? So from fitness to dive into, say, retail or FMCG, it's something that recruiters won't even look into my resume, even though I have a sales background. I do have operational background, customer service, marketing, all in one, right? But yeah, so the cons of it is that it's very hard for me to jump into different industries with that experience that I had. So I do agree for the youngsters, in a sense where if you want to have better career progression and better experiences, yes, it's hard to reset every 2 to 3 years, because when you jump to a new company, you have to relearn the whole new culture, the new ways of working. If it's a new role, then you have to learn something. So which means stepping outside of your comfort zone. But at the end of the day, if you look at it long term, it's more worth it versus staying in the same company. That's my personal opinion.
Okay, I understand.
So
this is something that you've personally experienced.
Personal experience.
But don't you think there's cons to jumping around as well? 2 years, move. 2 years, move. And then doesn't that kind of affect the resume, affect the portfolio? This guy jumps around every now and then. I know his pattern.
But
what do you think?
No, actually. So if it's a minimum of 2 years, then you jump. So 2-3 years, you give it 2-3 years, then you jump to a new company. That's acceptable. So if I'm a person that's hiring and I look into a resume of someone that's applying for a job, right? If I see someone like 6 months here, 1 year here, another 6 months, another 8 months, then that's a red flag, which means that potential candidate probably might have an attitude problem, perhaps. Not judging, but looking at the trend, it could indicate that. Right? But if someone who has maybe 2 years here, 3 years here, a mixture of that, then I would not see that person as someone who, it's a con, in a sense where I think that person is very strategic, in a sense where, because if your goal is to learn as much as you can, and also income is important in this economy right now, I think it's absolutely fine if you try on a new experience every 2 to 3 years, and that's acceptable in this standard. Not like 8 months, 6 months, 1 year, and multiple, right? Then that's a red flag. That's
like that. My first job after I graduated, I only stayed there for 10 months.
But
then I left and then did my own
there
thing.
would be there would be a certain times in your career that it will be very short. But maybe it could be a work culture thing that it impacts you mentally. So it could be. But if it's multiple, then that's a red flag.
So that was about loyalty. But I'm actually wondering, for you in your 30s, what do you look for the most in a employee or someone who you're looking to hire into your team? Why I'm asking this is, I want to know what attributes does someone need to have to be successful. What do you think is the most important factor that someone needs to have in order for them to succeed? What do you think? Okay,
so I'm gonna talk about in the point of view of a manager/leader, because in the 30s, probably a lot of people in their 30s are in their probably middle management, senior management position, right? So for me, if I had to deal with multiple different bosses throughout my whole entire career, some really nasty ones, really nasty ones that really impact me mentally as well, make me question life and make me really hate going to work, right? And there are just 2 bosses that I worked with that was absolutely amazing, and until today they made a huge impact in my life, and they shaped me to be the leader and manager that I am today.
Wow.
Right? So I think it's very important is number one, if your manager or leader really has this empathetic nature in them, right? So
Empathetic nature.
So one of my experience was when I was pregnant with my second kid, second daughter, right? So I had a couple of health complications, health issues, and mentally I was really, really stressed, and it caused my blood pressure to really skyrocketed high, and to a point where doctor said it was a little bit borderline risky because towards the end of my term of my pregnancy, right? Then I had sort of 2 bosses that I was working with, because in that time I was in my role. So one boss was like, okay, whatever, do what, like he was really, really not happy, like, tough it out, tough it out, and like pregnant women can be a bit more mafan in a way, right? Like, oh, you're in pain, you're sick, and things like that, right? So I toughed it out, right, for throughout my pregnancy. And then I reached to a point where my doctor said that, hey, you need to take it easy already. You need to rest because you've got one more month before you deliver, and if not, then you're putting your baby at risk. So it affected me mentally a lot. And then my second boss, he was like a dotted line to me, so it's not a direct boss, but I worked with him long enough. And one thing that he did was he was really, the moment I told him of my situation, you know what was his reaction? The first thing he said was, all right, understood. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with this right now. I'll handle it. That's all he said, right? So he did not judge me. He did not try to, make me feel
Bad
ashamed of myself, because I feel that I couldn't contribute or I couldn't do my work to my best abilities because of my physical condition, right? But the thing that he said to me was, I'll handle it. Right? He said, can you give me, and he even asked me permission, can you just hang on and give me two days to sort it out with HR, so that I can help you navigate, getting an early maternity leave and things and whatnot, so you can handle the handover process and all of that, right? And that really, really touched me, because him being an empathetic leader and he understood the situation that I am in made me want to work even harder for him, because I feel that this is the person that I look up to, because he genuinely cared for me and my well-being, right? So I think from my point of view, would be a leader who is empathetic. They not only values you as an individual, as a person, and because most times, right, bosses see you as either you're an asset or you're not, right? Can you bring profit? Can you deliver sales? Can you deliver money or revenue? Right? If you cannot, then I'll move on to the next person that can do it, right? But this manager of mine, this leader of mine, he not only see me as a human being, right? But he's respected me, and he helped me navigate through this journey, right? So until today, even though we're not working together anymore, but I know I still think very fondly of him. And I do take attributes and traits from him as a leader and put it onto myself, right? Which means like my team members, my staff as well. And I noticed that until today, I still do have ex-staff members who do still text me on my birthday, or whenever they have a promotion, they would actually do drop me a text and say like, hey, just wanted to share this great news with you and things like that. And it really, really touched me, because then I knew that I actually made a difference in someone else's life. Right? So I think being empathetic as a leader and genuinely caring about your team member and staff and their progression is something that you cannot buy with money. You really can't buy with money, because again, I've dealt with bosses that would only see me as an asset. If I cannot deliver, they will stress me out until I can deliver, right? So which made the situation even more worse in a way.
I understand. Oh, that's really good. But I do see that in you. I've seen how you work with your team. I've seen how you work with my team, right? It's really visible, your empathy and your care for your team. I think that's a value that even I want to adopt myself into it.
I think it's very important as leaders, because our team members are all human beings, right? They're all human beings, and we want to make sure that for me is I work for people. I don't work for companies, right? So if the moment my bosses and my leaders make me feel appreciated, you ask me to jump, I say how high. In a way, right? So I had, so one of the male bosses and another one of my female bosses who, she could ask me to do anything, and until today, I would still follow her throughout if anything she needs, any help she needs to provide, because she has touched me and helped me grow, not only just as a staff, but overall as an individual, as a person, to be to shape me into a much better person than I am today.
For someone in their 20s, what should I work on in order to reach higher income or a more successful career? What would be your advice for people in their 20s?
My advice for people in their 20s, what should you work on? I think it's a balance lah. So I think not all Gen Zs have very bad work ethics or work attitude, and not all millennials have any great ones either, right? So I think it needs to be a happy medium, a balance in a way where the grind needs to be there still, right? The communication is very important as well. So I think one thing I respect about Gen Zs is they openly communicate what they don't agree with, or what they agree with, in a sense where the millennials are very afraid to speak up. So that's one thing, right? So speak up when you need to, but use it tactfully. Not in a way that is rude or like you're disrespecting your manager, but in a way that can portray your maturity in a sense where what you think is a problem, what is the solution, and how you can move forward with that. I think having that mature communication not only helps you gain respect from your manager as well, in a sense where they say, okay, this is a legit problem, and you actually come up with a solution and a way to move forward, right? So the grind, communication, and lastly is just be a sponge. Honestly, like be a sponge. Never stop learning, right? So never stop learning. So for example, I was in the fitness industry, right? So I did fitness. I was an instructor, and then I teach group classes as well. I hate sales, but I went into sales anyways, because at the end of the day, in any form of life, we're always selling something, right? So having that skill is also very important. So I did sales. And that boss of mine convinced me. It's like, hey, you be good at it. You never know, you never try. So I was very limited in terms of my mindset in the beginning as well. Always had this imposter syndrome where I feel maybe I'm not good enough, right? But one thing that he did was he was so positive, and he was always encouraging me to step out of my comfort zone. You never try, you never know, right? And he practiced this thing we practice called performance management.
Okay.
Right?
You told me about this
Yes,
before.
I told you about this before. But one thing I practice it until now today, right? Where we have a 1 minute goal setting, we have a 1 minute praise, and 1 minute redirect. So I really, really like this praise part, because at the end of the day, we are all only human, right? And as much as you're doing something, it's nice to be noticed by your leaders, your managers, your CEOs, whatever, that you're doing something really, really good. And it only takes just you 1 minute of your time to say, hey, Sky, I've noticed that you've done this, and that's really, really amazing. And, I just want to say good job, keep up the good work, and walk away. That's all you got to do. I think praise must be given when it's due. However, in terms of redirect, if someone's doing something that's not so good, it's also a point of a leader to then say, hey, Sky, by the way, I've noticed something that you've done that's not so great, but you know what? You're actually better than this. You've done this before. Give examples of areas or points where they have done well, and then remind them of their potential, right? And also set that tone where I say, hey, it might be a downtime, it's okay, I've noticed it. Setting that kind of expectation, I've noticed it, but I think you definitely can be better, and just move on from there. Right? And the goal setting is sometimes we will feel a bit lost in life. You don't know, like come into work, I don't know what to do. But it helps where someone comes in and say, hey, do you need any help or any support? What do you need to prioritize today? What's more important? Which one do you think? So ask a few questions to see, to then identify and qualify what's most important, what's the priority right now. And then set that list for them and let them go off in their way.
See.
So
that's good. I think that's more in terms of soft skills.
Yeah.
Attitude or skill? Which is more important in
Attitude.
Somebody. Attitude.
Attitude, because
Really?
skills
Okay.
can be developed, right? But if you have the right mindset and the right attitude, then your skill can be developed. But if your attitude is crap, you're horrible to work with, right? Then no matter how good you are, it's no point, because I've had people I work with really, really great skills, but in terms of attitude, nobody liked to work with them. You know, because they were selfish, they would steal the glory, the pride. They would, if anything, like for example, sales. It can be a very scary game, right? So for example, they can just like steal your leads, right? Because the skills is good, but attitude is crap, in a way. Yeah.
Not
So for
character.
me, attitude trumps skill.
Skill. I see. I saw this Reddit for this Reddit post lah. It's Malaysian. He was asking Malaysian people who are below 30 and are earning more than 20,000 ringgit per month. What's your secret?
Yeah.
Right? And there were a lot of answers in that forum. Some answered, fake it till you make it. Just bullshit your way to the top. Talk so much cock
Yes.
that everybody will just listen to you and blah blah blah. But at the end, right, once I saw those response, I can see one thing in common with all of these people who are high earning, they're successful in terms of the numbers. They're all good at communication. Faking it till you're making.
Yep.
Fake it till you make it. Bullshit your way to the top.
Yep.
Without us noticing, that's communication. For me personally, right, like if I'm an entrepreneur, I hire people into my team. Right now, Da Vinci, we have around 11 people in total that I'm currently leading and running. One key thing that I see, like if I see this particular skill in a specific person, I will know that they are much more, high potential to grow. It's the skill of communication. If you are a good communicator, I feel you'll go far in life. And at least that's what I've been doing personally as well. I've been investing a lot in my public speaking, in my communications. Language is so important. You have no idea how much speaking clear, good vocabulary, correct grammar, good English actually brings the best out in you, Like, it automatically makes you look 100% more intelligent than you actually are.
I agree. I think to add on, choice of words are also very important in communication. In a sense where certain words, keywords that you use can make or break a conversation.
Example. What do you mean by that?
Example. So I had, again, bosses who are great communicators and very poor communicators, right? In a sense. So there was this incident again. This was actually from my first pregnancy, right? So I came back to work right after my maternity, and there was already a pre-agreement that if I hit certain KPIs, then I'll be promoted to the next position, to the higher up position, right? So I grinded hard. I carried my baby over the weekends on phones. I was just doing my sales. I was hitting my KPIs and whatnot. Okay, so when I've all done check all the boxes, right? So then I had a conversation with my manager. I said, hey, so I would just like to check in back in terms of our pre-agreement. Of what we talked about in terms of my next step, my next promotion. So this was what we agreed on. I've already achieved it. So can I know where are we heading with that in that sense, right? And what he meant to say was that his intention was completely different, and I took it quite personally. Right? So he said to me was, well, I don't know if it's the right time. Seeing that you're a new mom, I don't know if you can handle the pressure. Right? And I got really, really upset because I stayed late at work. I worked over the weekends. I carried my baby while working as well, which he did not see any of it, right? Because they only see results, right? But to be said some things really, really hurt me, okay? And then my dotted line manager, right? So then I was really unhappy. I'm like, hey, how could he say that? It's not nice, it's not fair.
Yeah.
And after him talking to my manager at that point of time, but the intention of the intention of it was like coming from a place of care, in a sense where emotionally it might be very overwhelming for me as a new mom, and possibly stepping up into a new role would just add more pressure in my sense. So the intention of it,
actually
but
was still
was there.
okay, right?
Right,
Yeah, he
still.
had the heart.
He had the heart, but the way he said it and
Yeah.
the choice of what he's saying, I don't know it's the right time because you're a new mom. I don't know if you can handle the pressure versus shifting and rephrasing that word, right? But still, if you say something, what you intend to say, what you intend in terms of meaning and how you communicate out can really make or break the whole dynamics of the conversation.
I totally agree. Yeah, it's the thought that counts. Execution.
No, the thought
Very bad.
that counts, but how you communicate and your choice of words on
That's
what
right,
you
yeah.
say. I mean, he could have said like, hey, I appreciate the grind, that kind of thing. I would just he could actually ask me qualifying questions to see how to check in terms
On
of my
you,
emotion,
yeah.
how am I feeling versus
Yeah,
just
yeah.
making an assumption.
And just saying it straight away,
And also
yeah.
at the point where he did share with my boss back then, he's saying that, because his wife personally dealt with a bit of postpartum depression in that sense, so he was worried
It's gonna happen to you.
it happened to me, but I was like, hey, don't judge, not everyone's the same.
Yeah. I
So
see.
yeah.
So I guess both of us agree. Communication is very important.
Yep.
To be had in a career,
Yeah.
in your personal growth, in order to be better.
Yeah.
Speaking of leadership, you talked a lot about your dotted line boss.
Yes.
I think he's someone that you really look up to as well. Right now, in your current stage as a leader, what's something that you are currently working on improving for yourself?
For me as a leader, I think I like to lead by example. Right? So when you talk about faking it to making it, there's a certain point where you fake it till you make it, but while you're faking it, also never stop investing in yourself. Right? Never stop learning. So like for me personally, if as a manager, if I don't know how to do something, I feel that I'm a bit lacking. Right? So how can I lead a team when I don't walk to talk in a sense, right? So I will always, not everyone's perfect. To be an effective leader, you may not be great in everything, but you are able to help that person in that particular role excel in what they do. So for me, it's just if I could work on my coaching skills in a sense where helping someone, because at the end of the day, when you work, at the end of the day, it's mindset, attitude versus skill. So skill can be learned, right? But if just say your mindset, if you're stuck, if you don't know what to do, or you're having a downtime, that would definitely impact your quality of work. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Like if you're having some problems, maybe then your focus might lari a little bit at work, right? But where I personally strive in is coaching, in a sense where not the physical PT kind of coaching, but in the sense of performance coaching, where if I can help you identify what's really bugging you, what's your priority right now, and how I can help you overcome that and help you achieve your goals better and sharpen my skills in that way, then at least I'm putting some value in the work that you do.
Yeah.
So that's for me, right? So what about you, Sky? As you're a business owner right now, and you lead a team and you deal with clients and agencies and clients and things like that, right? So what is the one thing that you're working on to be a better leader for yourself?
It's a very deep question. Very nice for me to ask you, but then I never even think of an answer.
Sometimes you don't think.
I don't think. I guess being a leader for me is not just in my company. I am also leading a lot outside. To be honest, we are leaders everywhere. We might be a leader in our family. I serve a lot in church as well. I lead in church as well. Something that I'm specifically learning in this season right now is quite similar to you, leading by example. Will you want to be led by someone who is a hypocrite? I say it's much easier for you to listen to someone who has already been there, who's already done that.
Yeah.
Right? Just now, there was that quote, "Fake it till you make it." I think that meant more as if like there are some people, right? They talk a lot.
Yeah.
They sound smart. They sound like they are doing something.
But kosongan.
But actually kosongan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
There's some people like
I
that.
know a lot of people like that. Yes.
Meetings, presentation, they show like 1 to 2 decks and then they talk a lot. But actually what they talked about got nothing one. There's like
Pusing.
nothing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm like, I just want to be more of an inspiration. to my team. I mean, I'm young. To be honest, I'm really far away from where you are. I'm really far away from where I need to be. Still a lot of things that I need to chase up. But right now, what I'm focused on is just leading by example. If I want them to be hardworking, to be diligent, I've got to do that first. If I want them to have the right mindset, to not have limiting beliefs, I got to do that first.
Yep.
Right? We are, being in a company, leading as an entrepreneur, it's really up to me on how I want the company values to be like. And I think I'm still finding that as well. I'm still learning about myself, learning about what I want to build my company into. And yeah, I think it's more of that, learning to be an example. There's this word integrity.
Very important.
That's very important.
Yep.
Integrity is who you are when no one is looking.
Agree?
Yeah, and I think that's what actually matters the most to push you further. When you're in the gym and no one is looking, you're all alone. Do you still push to the 10th rep, or is it easier to just stop at 7?
No, push to failure.
Right? When no one is watching at 3 a.m. at night and you're working, and you've still got this really important thing that you want to do, and you're flowing, you're doing it, but it's easier to just go to sleep.
Yep.
It's easier to just take a break. Do you have integrity to keep going even though no one's looking? I think that's something that I'm specifically learning right now in my current season, integrity. Being disciplined in terms of what I want, who I want to be, and committing to that. Right. Just one thought, right, that I learned recently. I've been reading this book, Diary of a CEO, our favorite podcast.
Yes.
There's this one point he said in there, which was, don't have too much plan Bs. As humans, we tend to have a lot of backup plan. Oh, if this fail, I'll have this. Oh, if I don't do well here, I have this. But there are studies that actually prove putting yourself in a situation where, like, imagine you are in an arcade and it's your last coin, you've got to put it in and you've got to win. That actually pushes you forward. That gives you the sense of, I jump into the water first, I got to learn how to swim or not I die. And that is something that I've been resonating with a lot personally in terms of discipline, in terms of my goals. To be honest, 2026, it didn't start very well for me. Maybe in the beginning it was okay lah, but I felt quite ashamed in myself because a lot of goals that I had, a lot of things that I wanted to achieve, I didn't manage to. And it was all because of commitment, of integrity. No, it was easy for me to just stop. Right? So I stopped. And that's something that I want to start working on a lot more. And that's what I've been trying to lead as an example.
Still early. Now only March.
Now only March, huh?
Not only March.
Now only Q1 is about to end only.
Yes.
Oh, it's still quite far.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's for me. I think being a leader, that's currently what I've been wanting to learn a lot with. But,
Okay.
yeah.
So to wrap it up, so do you think that your generation is actually changing work for the better, or they're just doing things differently from what Millennials are doing?
I think
Don't get cancelled.
no, I think I don't know because I'm not sure if this will offend you or not. I feel like definitely we will be changing work for the better.
Yep.
Gen Zs will definitely be changing work for the better. I think just like humanity, we are always moving forward.
Evolving.
You have daughters, right? I believe as a mom, you would want them to achieve much more than who you've or what you've achieved,
For
right?
sure.
You would want them to be
Yep.
more successful than
Yep.
you. You would want them to be
Smarter.
to be smarter than
Yep.
you, to be cooler than you, to have more happier marriages or happier families
Yes.
together. That's what you will hope for them, and
Yeah.
to care for the next generation. And I feel definitely this generation, Gen Z, we will be bringing work. We will be bringing the industry to new heights. We are different in terms of how we work as well. A lot of us, we work faster and smarter. We look for cheat codes along the way in order to do things differently with AI and stuff like that, right? So for me personally, I do see that Gen Z, even with their quirks lah, with their little quirks, with their little reject work, yeah. It's a rising generation. It's a generation that will do incredible things in the future. And for me personally, as a Gen Z, I have a lot of millennial friends. Sometimes I feel it's easier to talk to millennials than Gen Zs, for me personally lah. And we need your guidance. we need your mentorship as
Of what not to do.
millennials of what not to do, of what to do, right? Mentorship is the best way to succeed because like that person is already where you want to be. Who else better to learn from than the person who is already where you want to be, right? So for me, Gen Zs and millennials, we need to work hand in hand together. There's a lot of things we can learn from you, but I believe there's a lot of things you guys can learn from us as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So yeah, that's my opinion. What do you think? Is your generation changing work for the better?
Well, so funny enough, so like a couple of weeks ago, I had I met up with a couple of my high school friends, right? So we're all around the same age, we're all 30s, mid-30s, and funnily enough, there's 4 of us, right? 3 of us actually quit our corporate jobs and started doing things like started opening up own businesses and whatnot, right? So I think right now the 30s are their mindset and their priorities are a little bit different, but I still do believe that why it shifted is because the work dynamics have shifted. Right, and yes, with the advancement of AI, the Gen Zs are doing things much more smarter. But if you can marinate the attitude, the hardworking attitude, because at the same time, right, sometimes shortcuts can make a person lazier.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you need to have the right attitude, but using the right tools to be successful. So I think the 2 generations can be successful if we learn from each another. So which means millennials having to learn how to let go of that control of that beliefs a little bit more and adopt what the standards or the style of working of a Gen Z, and a Gen Z would have to then adopt a little bit more of the resilience from millennials. Then marry those 2 worlds together. I believe, and it can create a really successful dynamic.
Awesome. Yeah. That's really, really nice.
Yes.
A very, very fun and successful episode.
Yeah.
Third episode.
Third episode.
Third episode. Do you know, fun fact, a lot of other podcasts, they don't make it past 3 episodes.
Yay, let's do it.
So we already did it.
Yeah.
So we hope that all of you guys are still having fun listening to the both of us ramble and talk about life. I've personally been learning a lot from Jane. I hope that Jane has been learning a lot from me as well. Stay tuned for the coming episodes. If you have any fun topics that you want us to talk about, you want to ask Jane about, you want to know from the both of us, feel free to let us know. And yeah, see you on the next episode of 2030.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.